Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear President of the Save Romania Union. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fighters for democracy. It is a great honor for me, and I think a duty for me also, to be here today with you and to congratulate you for what you have achieved, for the election of your new president, for the formation of the new government. I want to congratulate you in advance. I know it's not yet the exact time, but I still want to congratulate you because that's the achievement, to protect what you have, to protect democracy. And it is a powerful affirmation of your people to commit to Euro-Atlantic structures and to the common future of Europe. I'm here today with you to reaffirm a defining truth, that the ongoing struggle for democracy, for human rights, for European belonging, that this struggle is it not only about values, it is about identity, it is about sovereignty, and it is about independence. It is about who we are, what we believe in, and the future that we are determined to build. And another simple truth that you just recalled, that democracy is never guaranteed, that it is earned, and it is earned on an everyday basis, every single day, and it can be challenged at any time. I would never have thought, when I was elected as the first female president of Georgia, that I would witness the day when practically all freedoms would have been threatened, challenged, and gradually disappear from my country. I would have never thought that I would be witnessing, one by one, the leaders of the pro-European parties being arrested on no other charges than just the will of the people that are in power. I would have never thought that the media that were flourishing in Georgia suddenly would one by one disappear, be coerced, and be extinguished because of lack of freedoms, of finances, of everything. And today, Georgia stands at a crossroad. And the current regime that was not elected in free and fair elections, and I'll come back to that, has decided against our constitution and moreover against the will of the people that has been expressed again and again, to take a sharp turn away from Europe, away from democracy. And when in Georgia you turn your back to Europe, your back to our Western partners, there is only one thing left, is that you're turning yourself in and into Russia. Romania and Georgia have had different paths, but we have had and we have shared struggles. You, as a long-standing member of the European Union, and Georgia, which is still a hopeful candidate, we stand at very different stages of integration. Yet, we have been facing similar pressures similar foreign interference, polarization that is also helped and pushed forward by foreign interference, and threats to our democratic and European future. Not long ago, Romania has faced serious challenges: misinformation, polarization, foreign meddling in elections. But that is not where your story ended, because people refused to give up, because pro-European forces stood firm, and you are here today to celebrate. Hence, Romania emerged from this struggle stronger, more united, more self-aware, which is essential, and more committed to the democratic values that define you not only as Romanians, but as Europeans. That is not just an inspiring story. It is a proof that democracy can be defended, that the fight is worth fighting. And that is a message that we must share, especially with those like us who are still fighting for their place in the European family, but also to defend their sovereignty and independence. Let us look then at Georgia, a country with a European heart beating inside its body. For years, Georgia pursued European integration, implementing major reforms, earning support across the continent, sometimes admiration, and despite all the recent waves of anti-EU propaganda, around 80% of Georgians still firmly support EU membership. They embrace democracy and peace not as distant ideals, but as lived commitments. Yet today, the will of this vast majority of Georgians is being ignored. The ruling regime is turning its back on Europe, adopting every day almost authoritarian legislation, measures, introducing Kremlin-style or written in Moscow laws, and crushing dissent. Over 200 days of protests have rocked the streets. Independent media are under attack, opposition leaders in jail, and 60 activists are awaiting sentencing, and preventive detention in Georgia today is 9 months long, which is more than in Russia. A journalist, a woman, Zia Marlobeli, has become the face, the symbol of this fight. She is facing sentences from 7 to 9 years for nothing, but for everything, because she has been fighting and she will continue fighting even from inside the jail. Repression, intimidation, control, and yet the people are not giving up. They are not giving up because it is not what some in Europe would like to think. It is not just a mere political crisis. It is not just disputed elections where those that were put aside are contesting the result of elections. For 8 months now, if Georgia is fighting, if Georgia is standing on the streets, if nobody is giving up, it is because it is an existential crisis. Because the war that some do not want to see is the war against Russia's new hybrid strategy. It is not the military fight that our friends in Ukraine have been so bravely fighting and defending themselves, but also defending us over 3 years. in their fight against Russian aggression. It is not the same war, but it is the other face of the same coin. It is Russia trying to take over what does not belong to Russia. It is Russia trying to capture a state, as it tried to do in Ukraine, did not succeed, will not succeed, but it's now trying to capture a state without a fight, with all the other instruments that it has now mastered, and that is the hybrid tactics, the propaganda, the manipulation of elections, the cyber attacks, and all the other instruments, propagandists that they send in the country that Russia now is using, including cultural manipulation, trying to present and promote as common some values that have nothing in common. From Georgia to Moldova, from Romania to Brussels, Russia seeks to divide, destabilize, discredit, and this is not theory, it is a fact. We see in false narratives, in rising false nationalism, which is not the true nationalism, in weaponized social media, and the erosion of trust in democratic institutions, we see how Russia today is trying to compensate the fact that it no longer is the military superpower it wanted to be in Europe, and by which it wanted to impress Europe. Russia's message is that democracy is weak, that Europe is failing, that authoritarianism offers order and peace, not much different from what was the Soviet time propaganda. It was also order and peace. Its strategy is clear: undermine democratic credibility, present the EU as decadent and ineffective, and brand itself as the guardian of traditional values and peace, even as it wages brutal war against Ukraine, occupies and destabilizes its neighbors. And we have, to this day, 20% of our territory which is occupied by Russian tanks, by Russian military men, and that do not allow the people there to use their language, to defend their rights, and to be part of their own country. And let us be clear once more, peace without freedom is not peace. It is just silence. It is just suppression, and it is always temporary. Once again, in these dark days where we are now, Romania lights the way. In the face of manipulation, you choose transparency. In the face of capture, you choose civic engagement. In the face of pressure, you choose freedom and you choose Europe. Your journey was not easy, and it is not over. But the direction is clear, and now is your responsibility. And your responsibility is also to help others to walk that same path. And we do count on you. We count on you because we are more than partners. We are Black Sea neighbors with shared security and strategic interest. Because without a secure Black Sea, without a peaceful Black Sea, without a Black Sea of cooperation and connectivity, Europe tomorrow will not be what it plans and sees itself as becoming. Supporting Georgia's European path is not just about values, it is also about regional resilience, economic stability, and protecting Europe's eastern frontier from authoritarian influence, particularly against the backdrop of Russian increased presence in the Black Sea. And Russia is planning and already starting the construction of a new naval sea military base on the Black Sea shore in the occupied Abkhazian territory of Georgia. Therefore, a strong democratic Georgia is a good investment in Europe's peace, prosperity, and long-term security. That is sometimes something that Europe does not understand, Europe as a whole, but many of its member states that have a shared past, that understand today's threats better than others, do understand this shared interest. So we count on you to be our voice in the European Union, to be our voice to make sure that the threats that exist for all of us are well understood. Because what we have gone through, what we're going through today, this manipulation of election, proxy governments, and measures that are directly inspired by Russia, this is what can threaten tomorrow any of the European states. If yesterday the military intervention that was first tested against Georgia in 2008 was then again applied to Ukraine in Crimea and then to Ukraine as a whole, that cannot be tested against countries that do not have common borders with Russia. The new strategy has this for it, that it can be applied anywhere in Europe, and very easily, because we thought that we were much better prepared for Russian propaganda, for having gone through it for 70 years. But apparently we were not enough prepared to face today's type of propaganda with today's techniques. And that is what many European countries do not see. They think that they are facing their own demons within the country. They think that they are facing just internal political rivals, when in fact those internal political rivals are supported by a very powerful country that is more powerful today in those instruments that are called propaganda, social media, artificial intelligence, and cyber security and attacks than it has been or it is today with military intervention. So that is a new war that Europe has to go through, that Europe has to win. You have won your first battle. We have to win the battle in Moldova. That is our common battle. We have to win the battle in Ukraine if there are, after a coming ceasefire, new elections. This battle will have to be won over Russian propaganda, and it has to be won in each and every European country. And for that, we have to devise preventive strategies, how to avoid the manipulation of elections, how to observe elections. These old forms of observation of elections do not work anymore. They are not up to the task. They don't know what they have to look for. And we have to learn how to defend after the elections. And nobody should be, like it was my case, asking me for proofs of how the elections were manipulated. It should have been up to the Europeans, to the European Union, to bring me the proofs, to defend me and us, because we could not, as you were, be defended by our constitutional court that had already been captured. As we could not defend ourselves with the help of our diaspora, a very numerous one, because they were not allowed to go and vote, unlike what happened in Moldova or in Romania. So that's a common fight. I want again to congratulate you for winning this battle, and let us all together win the war. Thank you. Thank you.